The End of Alzheimer's Program, by Bredesen, MD. Introduction. Imagine a woman named Claudia. At 78 years old, she had descended deep into the fog of severe Alzheimer's disease. The world she once knew had faded into a confusing blur. Her ability to speak was gone, reduced to an occasional yes or no. She couldn't dress herself, couldn't care for herself, and the simple joy of riding her bicycle was a distant memory. On a standard cognitive test, where a healthy score is near 30, Claudia scored a 0. To the outside world, and to the conventional medical establishment, her story was written. It was a tragic but familiar tale of irreversible decline, a one-way street with no exit. But then, something extraordinary happened. A physician, armed with a radically new understanding of Alzheimer's, looked beyond the diagnosis and asked a different question. Not what disease does she have, but why does she have it? Her evaluation revealed a hidden storm of problems that had never been addressed. Insulin resistance and, crucially, exposure to toxic poisons produced by molds. Claudia began a personalized program, not a single magic pill, but a comprehensive protocol designed to address every single factor contributing to her brain's retreat. Over the next 4 months, the fog began to lift. Slowly at first, and then with breathtaking clarity, Claudia returned. She started to speak again, then to send emails. She began dressing herself, riding her bicycle, and even dancing with her husband. One evening, her husband wrote, "Tonight we went for a nice walk and she thanked me. She pointed out a number of things, including the pink-lit clouds caused by the setting sun. And she said, 'It seems to me that I'm going to be all right, and that I'm going to be able to enjoy things again.'" This story is not a fairy tale. It's a testament to a revolution in our understanding of brain health, a revolution led by Dr. Bredesen, the author of the End of Alzheimer's Program. For decades, Dr. Bredesen, an internationally recognized expert in neurodegenerative diseases, dedicated his life to solving the puzzle of Alzheimer's. What he discovered is that we've been looking at the disease all wrong. In this powerful book, he reveals that Alzheimer's is not a single, mysterious illness for which we need a silver bullet cure. Instead, it is the brain's protective response to a multitude of insults. And because it has many causes, it must have many treatments. A silver buckshot approach that can not only prevent cognitive decline but, for the first time in history, has been shown to reverse it. So, what I promise you today is not just a summary of a book. It's a journey into a new world of possibility. By the time we're done, you will understand the true nature of Alzheimer's disease, and you will hold the keys to protecting your own brain for a lifetime. You will learn that this disease, which has cast a shadow of fear over generations, can and should become a rare condition. Book summary. For over a century, Alzheimer's disease has been one of medicine's greatest villains. It's been portrayed as a thief in the night, a mysterious fog that descends upon the mind and steals away our most precious memories, our personalities, and our very essence. The conventional medical approach has treated it like a simple infection, like pneumonia, where you find one single cause, a bacterium, and attack it with one single weapon, like penicillin. This silver bullet philosophy has led to a graveyard of over 400 failed clinical drug trials. Billions of dollars have been spent searching for that one magic pill to destroy the enemy, a sticky plaque in the brain called amyloid. But every attempt has failed. The drugs, at best, offer minimal, temporary relief from symptoms without ever changing the relentless course of the disease. It's a bit like taking your car to a mechanic because it's running poorly, and the mechanic says, "Ah yes, I see this all the time." It's called car not working syndrome. There's no known cause and no cure. Your car is going to die. You'd think that was absurd. You'd expect the mechanic to run diagnostics, to look under the hood, to find out why the car isn't working. Is it the battery? The spark plugs? The fuel line? This is precisely the paradigm shift Dr. Bredesen introduces. He argues that we must stop giving the brain a simple diagnosis and start asking why. What he discovered over 30 years of laboratory research is that Alzheimer's isn't a single disease at all. It is a protective, yet ultimately destructive, downsizing program initiated by the brain itself. Imagine your brain is a country called My Brainistan, and you are its president. When times are good, when the treasury is full of nutrients, hormones, and growth factors, when there are no invading pathogens causing inflammation, and no toxins polluting the land, you give the order to build. You strengthen the infrastructure, create new connections, and expand the network. Your nation thrives. In your brain, this is managed by a remarkable molecular switch called the amyloid precursor protein, or AP. When all is well, this protein is cut at one specific spot, creating two fragments that signal growth and maintenance. This is called synaptoblastic signaling. It builds the very connections, or synapses, that form your memories. But now imagine a second term as president, and things have gone wrong. The treasury is running low on essential supplies. Invaders are crossing the borders. Pollution is overwhelming the system. You can no longer afford to build. You must pull back, downsize, and defend what's left. You initiate a scorched earth retreat to protect the capital. This is exactly what happens in the brain leading up to Alzheimer's. When faced with insults, the AP switch is flipped. It's cut at 3 different spots, producing 4 different fragments, the 4 horsemen of the apocalypse, as Dr. Bredesen calls them. These fragments signal retreat. This is synaptoclastic signaling. It actively breaks down and removes synapses to conserve resources. And what about that infamous amyloid plaque, the villain of the story for so long? It turns out amyloid is one of the key defensive weapons the brain deploys. It's like napalm. It's an antimicrobial peptide that kills invading pathogens like bacteria and fungi, and it binds to and sequesters toxins like heavy metals. The problem is, this defensive weapon causes immense collateral damage, contributing to the destruction of the very synapses it's trying to protect. So, Alzheimer's disease is not a mysterious attack. It is the brain's programmed, protective response to a set of specific threats. The cognitive decline we see is the result of this long-term, scorched earth retreat. It's like having 36 holes in your roof. A single drug is like trying to patch one hole while rain is still pouring through the other 35. The only way to fix the problem is to identify and patch every single hole. Dr. Bredesen's research has identified the major categories of these threats, which he classifies into different types of Alzheimer's disease. Most people have a combination of these, but usually 1 or 2 are dominant. Type 1 is inflammatory, or hot Alzheimer's. This is driven by chronic inflammation. The source could be anywhere in the body: a leaky gut, poor dental health with chronic gum disease, or hidden infections from things like tick bites or viruses. This inflammation sends constant danger signals to the brain, keeping it in a defensive, downsizing mode. Type 2 is atrophic, or cold Alzheimer's. This type is caused by a withdrawal of supportive molecules. Just as a plant withers without water and sunlight, the brain withers without optimal levels of nutrients like vitamin D and B12, hormones like estrogen and testosterone, and crucial brain growth factors. Your brain simply doesn't have the resources to maintain its 500 trillion synaptic connections. Type 1.5 is glycotoxic, or sweet Alzheimer's. This is driven by high blood sugar and insulin resistance. You may have heard Alzheimer's called type 3 diabetes, and this is why. When your body is constantly flooded with sugar, your cells become numb to the hormone insulin. Insulin is not just for sugar metabolism. In the brain, it's a critical growth factor that helps keep neurons alive. When the brain becomes insulin resistant, it's losing a vital supportive signal, pushing it toward downsizing. Type 3 is toxic, or vile Alzheimer's. This is caused by exposure to toxins. These can be heavy metals like mercury from dental fillings or contaminated fish, organic chemicals from air pollution or household products, or, most insidiously, biotoxins, poisons produced by molds growing in water-damaged buildings. The brain produces amyloid to bind and neutralize these poisons, but again, this defensive action comes at a terrible cost. There are also type 4 vascular, related to poor blood flow to the brain, and type 5 traumatic, related to head injuries. Overlaying all of this is our genetics. The most common genetic risk factor for Alzheimer's is a gene called AP4. About a quarter of the population carries at least one copy of this gene. To understand its effect, Dr. Bredesen returns to his analogy of my brainistan. If you don't carry the AP4 gene, you are the ruler of South my brainistan. Your country has invested its resources in research, development, and longevity. You are metabolically efficient but more vulnerable to invaders. If you carry the AP4 gene, you are the ruler of North my brainistan. You have invested heavily in defense. Your inflammatory response is swift and powerful, making you more resistant to parasites and infections. This was a huge advantage for our ancient ancestors. But in our modern world, this tendency toward a strong inflammatory response puts you at higher risk for chronic inflammatory conditions, like heart disease and Alzheimer's. Your brain is quicker to go on the defensive and initiate that downsizing program. So, with this new understanding, that Alzheimer's is a multifactorial, protective retreat, the solution becomes clear. It's not a silver bullet, it's silver buckshot. We must identify every single contributor for a given person and systematically address each one. This is the foundation of the ReCODE protocol for reversal of cognitive decline. The entire program is built upon a specific diet and lifestyle called Keto Flex 12/3. Let's break down what that means. Keto refers to ketosis. One of the earliest changes seen in a brain developing Alzheimer's is a reduced ability to use glucose, its primary fuel. This energy gap can exist for a decade or more before symptoms appear. Ketones, which your body produces when it burns fat for fuel, provide a crucial alternative energy source that can bridge this gap and literally feed a starving brain. Flex refers to two things. First, metabolic flexibility, the ability to efficiently switch between burning carbs and burning fat. Second, it refers to a flexitarian approach. The diet is heavily plant-based, but allows for the flexibility to include high-quality animal protein if you choose. And 12/3 refers to the daily fasting window, a fast of at least 12 hours overnight, with your last meal at least 3 hours before you go to sleep. This foundation is designed to target the root causes of cognitive decline. It creates insulin sensitivity, reduces inflammation, provides fuel for the brain, and promotes a vital cellular cleanup process called autophagy. To visualize the diet, Dr. Bredesen flips the old food pyramid on its head. The old pyramid, which told us to eat 6 to 11 servings of bread, pasta, and cereal, turned out to be a recipe for obesity, diabetes, and, tragically, cognitive decline. The new brain food pyramid is built for optimal brain function. The very base of the pyramid, the most important part, isn't a food at all. It's fasting. That 12-hour overnight window and 3 hours before bed is when your body cleans house. When you stop eating, you give your digestive system a rest and trigger autophagy, where your cells recycle old, damaged components. This process is essential for clearing out the toxic debris that accumulates in the brain. The next level up is a combination of non-starchy vegetables and healthy fats. This is the core of what you'll eat. We're talking about a rainbow of vegetables, deeply colored leafy greens, cruciferous vegetables like broccoli and cauliflower, and alliums like garlic and onions. You should aim for 6 to 9 cups a day. And you indulge freely in healthy fats, which are critical for brain structure and for producing those vital ketones. This means generous amounts of high polyphenol extra virgin olive oil, avocados, nuts, and seeds. Above that is prebiotics, resistant starch, and probiotics. This level is all about upgrading your gut. Your gut is your second brain, and an unhealthy gut microbiome is a major source of inflammation. Prebiotics from foods like jicama, leeks, and asparagus are the food for your good gut bacteria. Resistant starches found in things like cooked and cooled sweet potatoes or green bananas also feed the microbiome without spiking your blood sugar. And probiotics from fermented foods like sauerkraut and kimchi help to repopulate your gut with beneficial microbes. Next is animal protein and fruit. If you choose to eat animal protein, think of it as a condiment, not the main course. Focus on the cleanest sources, like wild-caught, low-mercury smash fish, salmon, mackerel, anchovies, sardines, and herring, and pastured eggs. These are rich in the brain-building fats DHA and choline. For fruit, stick to small amounts of low glycemic options like berries, which are packed with neuroprotective antioxidants. And at the very top of the pyramid are the indulgences, or risky business. This includes small amounts of high cacao 85% or more dark chocolate, a tiny bit of natural sweeteners like stevia if needed, and very limited, if any, alcohol. Just as important as what's in the pyramid is what's left out. The first step is to put out the fire by eliminating the 3 main inflammatory triggers: simple carbohydrates and sugar, all grains especially those containing gluten, and conventional dairy. These foods fuel insulin resistance and gut inflammation, pouring gasoline on the fire you're trying to extinguish. Beyond the Keto Flex 12/3 foundation, the protocol includes several other non-negotiable lifestyle pillars. Exercise. Your body was designed to move. Exercise is one of the most powerful things you can do for your brain. It increases blood flow, improves insulin sensitivity, and crucially, boosts a protein called brain-derived neurotrophic factor, or BDNF, which acts like fertilizer for your brain cells, helping them grow and form new connections. A combination of aerobic exercise like brisk walking or cycling and strength training is ideal. Sleep. Sleep is not a luxury. It is a biological necessity. During deep sleep, your brain undergoes a nightly wash cycle. A remarkable waste clearance system called the glymphatic system becomes 10 times more active, flushing out metabolic debris, including amyloid. Getting 7 to 8 hours of quality sleep each night is critical. A huge and often missed contributor to cognitive decline is sleep apnea, a condition where you repeatedly stop breathing at night, starving your brain of oxygen. Dr. Bredesen insists that everyone with or at risk for cognitive decline be checked for this. Stress reduction. Chronic stress floods your body with the hormone cortisol, which is toxic to the brain's memory center. Practices like meditation, mindfulness, yoga, or simply spending time in nature can lower stress and protect your brain from this constant assault. Brain stimulation. The brain thrives on novelty and challenge. This concept, known as neuroplasticity, means your brain can continue to grow and form new connections throughout your life. Engaging in activities that challenge your mind, learning a new language, playing a musical instrument, or using brain training programs like Brain HQ, helps build what's called cognitive reserve, a buffer that makes your brain more resilient to damage. Oral health. The mouth is a gateway for inflammation. Chronic gum disease is caused by specific bacteria, like P. gingivalis, that have been found in the brains of Alzheimer's patients. Old mercury amalgam fillings can also be a source of chronic heavy metal toxicity. A healthy mouth is a critical part of a healthy brain. Detoxification. We are, as Dr. Bredesen puts it, swimming daily in an Alzheimer's bouillabaisse. We're exposed to a constant barrage of toxins, dementogens, that cause dementia. These can be metals, chemicals in our air and water, and biotoxins from mold. Supporting your body's natural detoxification systems through hydration, sweating like in a sauna, and eating detoxifying foods like cruciferous vegetables is essential to reduce your toxic burden. The final piece of the puzzle is supplementation. While diet and lifestyle are the foundation, targeted supplements are used to patch the specific holes identified in your personal biochemistry. If your homocysteine is high, you'll use B vitamins. If you have inflammation, you might use curcumin and omega-3s. If you need trophic support, you might use whole coffee fruit extract to boost BDNF. These aren't random guesses. They are precise interventions based on your lab results. The entire journey begins with what Dr. Bredesen calls a cognoscopy, a comprehensive evaluation of your blood work, genetics, and cognitive function to identify your unique set of contributors. This gives you your personalized roadmap. This approach is not a passive one where you take a pill and hope for the best. It's an active, engaged program where you become the chief investigator of your own health. It requires effort, commitment, and a willingness to change. But as the stories of Claudia, Nina, and hundreds of others now show, the reward is something that was once considered impossible: the chance to reclaim your mind and rewrite your future. Commentary. What strikes me most profoundly about the End of Alzheimer's program is not just the science, which is groundbreaking, but the fundamental message of hope and empowerment it offers. For generations, Alzheimer's has been shrouded in a sense of fatalism. It was something that happened to you, an unavoidable fate sealed by age or genetics. Dr. Bredesen dismantles that entire narrative. He hands the power back to us. The single most powerful idea in this book is the reframing of Alzheimer's not as a disease, but as a response. The idea that amyloid, the long-maligned villain, is actually a protective molecule is a stunning revelation. It tells us that the brain isn't failing. It's fighting. It's doing its best to protect itself from a barrage of modern insults: our sugary diets, our chronic stress, our toxic environments, our lack of sleep. Our job, then, is not to attack the brain's defense mechanisms with a drug, but to remove the threats so the brain can stop fighting and start rebuilding. This changes everything. It transforms the patient from a passive victim into an active participant in their own recovery. It shifts the focus of medicine from managing symptoms to addressing root causes. This isn't just a new way to treat Alzheimer's. It's a new way to think about chronic disease altogether. For someone young, like yourself, the message is even more urgent and optimistic. The processes that lead to Alzheimer's begin decades before the first symptom ever appears. This isn't a book about old age. It's a book about living your entire life in a way that builds a resilient, thriving brain. The side effects of this program are not risks and warnings, but rather increased energy, better mood, a healthier weight, and a reduced risk of nearly every other chronic disease of aging. You don't have to wait until you're 45 to get a cognoscopy. You can start building your cognitive reserve right now. The choices you make today, at the dinner table, in the gym, when you decide to turn off your screen and go to sleep, are laying the foundation for your brain health for the next 70 years. If I were to distill this profound book into a few simple actions you can take today, they would be these. First, drastically reduce your intake of sugar and processed foods. Think of sugar as an inflammatory agent for your brain. By cutting it out, you are taking the single most powerful step toward becoming insulin sensitive and protecting your neural connections. Second, prioritize sleep. Make getting 7 to 8 hours of quality sleep a non-negotiable part of your life. It's during sleep that your brain cleans, repairs, and consolidates memories. It is the foundation upon which all other health benefits are built. Third, move your body every single day. You don't have to become a marathon runner. A brisk walk, a game of basketball, dancing, anything that gets your heart rate up feeds your brain with oxygen, blood flow, and that wonderful growth factor, BDNF. And finally, never stop learning. Challenge your brain. Pick up an instrument, learn a language, read difficult books. A mind that is constantly engaged is a mind that is constantly building, growing, and fortifying itself against the inevitable challenges of time. This book represents the triumph of 21st century medicine. It moves away from the simplistic, one-size-fits-all model of the past and embraces a personalized, systems-based approach that honors the incredible complexity of the human body. It tells us that we are not destined to decline. We have a choice. That was a deep dive into the End of Alzheimer's program by Dr. Dale Bredesen. We've explored the revolutionary idea that cognitive decline isn't an inevitable fate, but a condition we can actively fight and even reverse. But I'll be honest with you, a summary, no matter how detailed, can only scratch the surface. The real power of this book lies in the depth of its details, the specific protocols, and the profound sense of hope that builds with every page. This summary is your map, designed to show you if this is a journey worth taking. If anything we've discussed today has sparked a sense of curiosity or a desire for change, I urge you to grab a copy. Reading it isn't just about absorbing information, it's about arming yourself with the knowledge to protect your most valuable asset, your mind. You can find a link to the book in the description below. Also, if you found this summary valuable on your quest for knowledge, please show your support by hitting that like button and subscribing to the Billionaire's Bookshelf. That way, you won't miss our next journey into another life-changing book. Let's continue to build our minds and our futures, together.